either yesterday, the last couple of times we learned was in Rosh Chodesh, so we really just had no time. I want to look here more carefully at number Yud Tes again one more time because it answers. I think it comes to answer, at least it's answering directly a question that I have. Is that if you have a Tzimtzum and a Rishima, then the question is how does it spread from there? What happens? What happens to make it possible that it reaches all the way over to Olam Asiyah? So up in the Rab it says, or excuse me, not in the Rab, but in the original part it says Bir Revi, that one. Ray Batar Svi Alazoar Khan. And what's his subject? Shabir the Bidarko. The Rich, we're talking about the word long, Rich. Who but spheres the Yosher, Ein Sham. So now we have over here in number Yud Tes, I'll look at it a little more carefully. It said Ray Batar Svi. And he said, "He who rowing mitanuas nachash the divorce Italian." Right? He says, "But the movement of the divorce that have to do with this." Here's the phrase nachash the divorce Italian. When he says kitzonim, I'm thinking that he means the klipa. The man nikach derech nachash hakodesh. So from that you can understand the nachash hakodesh, nachash b'riach. What's the concept of the spanning nachash? Is a mafriach ben the codes of the lakotzes. So it goes from one end to the next. Now he said the hinderach b'shosh simson l'rishon. Now if you want to know the root of the first simson shalabari baruchu. Eitz Chaim, he says over there, that's in, he says the first shar. Who agul? It's ball shaped. V'el tocha agul nimsha chut adam kadmon, and so now you have the concept of the withdrawal of the light, and then the chut comes in baruch hu, baruch shelo. The chabayos alamos in order to bring life, or I guess bring into creation the alamos. Omina chut hazeh, so this one chut that came into the original circle or ball, mishavim kol olamos that they were called gulich the yosher. So all of the olamos come out, and they all have the same quality, which is a gul and the yosher. Kamavura b'sham ba'orech u'v'rochav u'v'omech kol prat to prat. So every single part of this has been explained. Ad ein so the case for tachlis. So he says, let me just read that again. He says it's a gul and the yosher, and it's explained over there every single detail. Okay, and until infinity, ad infinity. So this means the granddaddy of the carver outers, or the of this concept, which he says the ball and the line. Harishon it has the appearance of a long snake. In Kaltan on the rowing boat. So this is a little vague exactly in all the movements that we would see. I guess talk about a snake. So we see that the nature of this snake is that sometimes it balls up. And then there's and how does that work? Again, it's trying to put it together. He says that sometimes it balls up. What does that mean? So in other words, it makes a circle out of itself by placing its head next to its tail. Romas HaKodesh. So this is a reference then to the Kodesh part. Like a long snake. Yosher. So once to say that this is the part which is the straight part, the line part of the snake is in its normal, or let's say just being long. Hanimshach call the beruga b'min the chut to Ein Sof, which extends down into all of the berurim and from the chut to the Ein Sof. Mash anvel mispashed in the kan, and then later it says, and it spreads from one side to the next. He says, Yermos al Bakidas agulim. So he says, when it spreads inside the cell, sometimes it makes itself into more balls. And the Asach of the Simpson, the Rishon, all of these come as a result of the first Simpson. I'm assuming he means the copies. The same procedure. It goes ball line, and then sometimes the line will circle itself up, and another line will and make it into a circle, and another line will have to come in. Ad Simpson Arishon Ashahu Ba'agol Ad Kan Ba'ain Sham Od. So it didn't really straighten me out that much, but I heard some different ideas there. Let's go on to the next one. He said, Bir Chamishi Rei Bezoyer Chai. Sha'arach Bezer, he goes on about this. Vavar Sheyesh Bechinas Os Vav. Now I want to say he had this kind of concept of this Vav, a Riach. It's a long Vav, believe his pashas rows v'yarkim without spreading into arms and legs. B'kavem Sai, that is the middle line, shall call a partsufim, and that's the nature of the middle line of all the partsufim. It is just a line. V'gam Teferes v'yisod, the Zer Anpin, also, these two elements of the middle line, they're also the concept of a long vav. Because, let me read the words again. He says that the Teferes and Yesod are the aspect of vav, of those vav, a long vav also. Because within them are the six kitzvos, I guess, hidden in there or suppressed in there. But bir sham, so therefore it says she'ein sham is galus lo droim v'yarkim. So you don't see any arms, you don't see any legs. Rak os vav, only the letter vav. Shenichlach b'teferes v'yisod. That's part of the concept that teferes are part of the structure of teferes and yisod. Kol shisha kitzvos, all of the six kitzvos are in there, I guess. The kachem arich the yisod, so therefore they're long. It's long. It's a long extension until it reaches the yisod ad kan ba'ayin sham ba'oreh. Okay. So now we're going to read number kaf. Let me get it up here at the bottom over here. I think we read this briefly, but I think there's something here. So he says, so he wants to say what? He wants to say that you have a line that doesn't show any arms or legs. So in other words, no extensions, it's just a line. But not the Ketzas Lashon the Zohar Chai, he said that the V'secha V'omer Baran B'Priyetz Chaim Chamisha Mekomos Shenichlalo B'chem Hazroas V'Haraglayim. So I'm assuming that, I'm not sure what he means by the five places. Maybe he's going to tell us, but I assume he meant Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod. That's why I thought he meant. Shazer Anpin, Gam Kem Nichlal Bo HaKol Ba'os Bo. That all of Zer Anpin is also included in the whole concept of Vav, Bilti Zroas Roglayim, without arms, without legs. So it sounds like he wants to say that the root of Zer Anpin is a line, just a Vav without arms or legs. So it's one of the five places that he mentioned. I'm not sure what five places he meant. You could go like Atik V'Nuk, and you could say then Arich V'Nuk. Maybe not like that. Maybe you would just go down to this five partsufim. Maybe that's what he means. The taketh so immediately he goes back. He says like this: Anpin came. There's Galu Shisha Kitzvos Rose Rablaim. Then you see there's a revelation. There's six kitzvos that show arms and legs. But you just said that it doesn't show it, and so I guess that's what he means. It's a contradiction. But the whole thing is right. Shesham b'zer anpin nizgal kol, because zer anpin is where things are revealed. Everything is revealed there. Ela sheyesh oz vav, but there is also this concept of the oz vav, but teferes b'tzadatz musa. The teferes, which is zer anpin, is also basically a vav. Now, what he means the panimi of everything is a vav. Kihu Afo Yesh Bego Bebechinas Kol Shisha Shisha Bitamidas, because Zer Anpin always has, let me read it again, Kihu Afo Zer Anpin. Yesh Bego Bebechinas Kol Shisha Bitamidas. He always has these six. Behem Shrashim Shal Hashisha Prakim Yadayim Belaglayim. So they're also the roots of the six prakim of the arms that would be considered in the arms and the legs. The Aim Sham El Shisha Vav, and there is only six is only the letter Vav. Shalom is Galam Sham's Roas Veraglayim Gam Bezer Anpin, because even in Zer Anpin you don't see them. It seemed like a steer of what he said before. You don't see them. V'chein Yisod is also a vav, zeira, so it's a little vav, so it's also a vav. Mitzad Atzmos Yisod Kolil Shis B'Kartifa Chada. I don't know the word Kartifa. Maybe that word. I looked it up, I couldn't find it. I guess it means in one bag or one box, something like that. Mitzad Atzmos. Let's read it again. V'chein Yisod is a little vav. Mitzad Atzmos Yisod Kalil Shis Bekartifa Chada. So that Yisod is one element, and inside of it is the six. The six come in there too. Biblically is called Sheish Kitzvos, which is the of the six Kitzvos. They come into Yisod. And Lur Ba'etz Chaim Shar Memnun Memdalad Kihatipa Nisarka. The tipa, the original tipa, it lengthens itself with tiferes v'yisod b'sod osvav, and that's its statement there, that it becomes like a line instead of a drop. Ki atzmos tiferes, because he says the essence of tiferes v'yisod, he wants to say the bottom of it, I guess, the ikar of it is the vav. Lichlalo b'kol levarim, and in that vav is also all of the Evarim are included in Sheish Kitzvos, Bilti his galus adayin. B'kol klal zera b'kol kol mikoich arich. All of this. So all of this should come from this. All is developed out of a rich, which is al she'ein b'his galus al above, where you only see the one concept is that it's above ad kan b'ayin sham. Exactly what that brought to us, I'm not sure, but it's all right. It's another part of, I guess, of this idea. There's a beer shishi up at the top, just to get more little pieces here. Beer shishi, he says, beer grovshin is buyer inyan arich. So he says simply, al nachash beriach de hivarta. So he says it's the nachash that spans from the top to the bottom. We got the word bariach, and it's white. Shemispashet the orech kol harosh, which spreads over the length of the entire head. But more, I think, would need to be said about that. Be able to get it straightened out. So a little bit more, as long as we're going on that. On this, he says, "Mispashet the kan ba'elav yaorim." So we had the idea that yaorim are like canals or something like that, and it goes this is a little elusive. This idea he wants to say, but we've been playing with it before. He said, "Bebir inin amispashet the kan." So we want to say that those are the words of Rebbe Shimon. And it spreads, this ariach spreads the kan to kan. Rei bebir meshulav, so that is a shuhuba inyan elef yaorim, the isa bezoer. So he says that he quotes a zoer. Shanachas aroves ben yaorim elu mispashet pam tzad yamim, the pam tzad small. So actually he says this what? This nachash, sometimes it spreads to the right, sometimes it spreads to the left. He says, "So elef yaorim." What does he mean when he says there's 1,000 canals? Haim so the elef yamim the al. Well, that's nice. So he says the canals really turn to the 1,000 years of the original. I don't know. Kadmor, the Alma Kadmor. The Ira Sifra the Tzdiut, we're talking about it now, Khan. Of a canal, B'Shem Sharmai Rashbi Khan. Okay, so he said, so we have that concept. I'm thinking maybe we saw this before, but I don't remember it. So now we're going to this phrase where it says v'na'atek. So he said v'na'atek kam divrei Rabbi Shari Mari Rashbi. He said this is what he says. He says there's Aleph Yorim, and it says how do you count it? He said you count it by 499 Yorim, or Palga and a half, 499 and a half to Sifra Dal, and 499 and a half to Sifra Dal. So so what is it talking about? So this whole concept is like there's some kind of a half in between them. So he says, Alma Kadimah. So now we talk about Alam Kadmah, the Ihu Elef Alfin Veriva Ravavan Amare Trisi. So the first world, which I guess he's talking about, is developed out of this first tikkun that we said before, has this concept of these tremendous number of, I guess, soldiers or Mari Trisin, shield bearers that are defensive. I'm not sure. And over there we explained what's this concept of the thousand. Now how's that? He called costly gematria 500. Obeys kasefo. So what do you got there? Haim elef. So there's your thousand. Trin itrin. Now that's an interesting thing. Now they become Trin Itrin. Now what Itrin means sounds like to me it's the ultimate font from which I guess things pour out. But he says that the two sides, he said, that made the two 500s, they become the two Itrin. Now I think we went through all of that and how we got the number 500 as it was talking about Chasadim and Gevuros. And they cry him Chesed the Gevuro. So the chesed side is given, extends, goes there anpen. Okay, so let's go on. The nimsa kishtei kasfaim. See, sometimes he calls it kasefa, sometimes he calls it kasfaim. Anyway, the kadesh hashtaim mishach bezer anpen heng kasef ech bilvad. It turns out how this comes. I'm really not sure. He says that turns out that the two of them are the two sides are two shoulders are really only one. Shtei kasef is the nukve, but then also the same thing by the nuk. Gam heng kasef ech bilvad. They're only really one shoulder. Now all of these different ideas. This is how Zer Anpin, his length is 500 years long. So in other words, this 500 applies to each side. So he's now they're stuck together in the backs. So the 499, upal 499 and a half pecan, the 499 and a half pecan. So there's actually a wall between them, and half of it goes to her and him. But now he says this is a different situation. Now the nook has been separated from his backside. So now from that one koisel, now it's become two complete separate walls. In other words, she's going to have a back, and he's going to have a back. If and if each one of them going to be a 500, the zecher can get the cost of shachal the chesed she become matri tafkuf. For tafkuf shleim bechabesh alanuk, but can get the cost of shachal the gvura. The zecher bekoisel the rebsoi. So therefore, we see this middle line should na'asa ata echad bo. It becomes, I guess he means in bo. I mean in zeranpin. Hey misod bechinas acharayim. That becomes the half. That was a half is now becoming the whole by backside. But the chain called the dinim named shach b'menu. So therefore, now whatever dinim you're talking about, they come out of that backside. But the chain kusod hanachash asher reishes sumka kivarva. Now all of this is really out there. I really don't know all this Indian. So he said, I'm not sure I even heard that particular phrase. Kusod hanachash asher reishes sumka kivardos, like a red, like a rose. So odin medin. Now, how we got over here, I'm not sure. We separated the Zohar and Milk the way that I hear it, and they each have a separate back. So the back, he was talking about Bo, I guess he was talking about Zeranpin. He says this is the source of the dinim in Zeranpin. The Gam Sark the Das also you have to know ki kol inyan zecha bechuba bechinda netzach behod the Zeranpin. It's always only talking about the netzach and hoda Zeranpin. Asher kenegdam omedes nukve ach ba'ach. When he says the nai, like he says like that, he really means the tani or the chaz of the mata. But because the head of the nukva was so large, so therefore we just I guess shortens it up and he calls it the nai because that's where her body begins. Kenegdam omedes nukve ach ba'ach because that's where the nuk is located. You already know this. Now, I don't know why he brought this in. I don't understand why he brought this in. This was about spreading from side to side. So now in this rush, now he comes over to the concept of a separation. Now they're both a pair of 500s, right? So they used to be like a half of one half of a back. Now it's a whole back, and the whole backs we know are dinim. That's a chod yisod shall zer anpin. So we're talking about the nai zer anpin. The netza chod yisod shall nukve. So the nai the nuk. Call echad call ach echad me'ela b'mekomo. So each back of these in its own place. Who's so elef yaorim. Now why is that? B'zech b'sod shtei shemo shel abgitats. So what and this is the shtei shemos shel avgitats Hashem Arishon shel Hashem Mab Kanaida. So this would avgitats is always chesed, but he says it's a gevura. Avgitats achubedematria takus. It's the number 506. So we got an extra 6 over here. I'm not sure what this does. The gevura noda ki shem mab hu gevura because it goes from the bottom to the top. Okay, we're almost there. We go up to where it says Gavar Noda Ki Shem Mahu Gavura. Okay, we were just talking about Abgitats, which of course is part of the Shem Mab, which is the Chesed part. He said Mab is Gavura, V'hu the fish Shahuba Bechinis Acharayim Shehem Soda Dinim. Because why? Avgitats, because Gavura is a soda dinim, and Avgitats is associated with that. I'm not sure how we got there. But call klipos, ne'achozos, bebechinas acharayim and iskarim. So all the klipos are over there. Now they're all trying to get onto the acharayim of the nai of the zachar v'nok. Ad kan v'ayin sham od ba'orech. I mean, they're dropping a lot of ideas in there. I just thought it was interesting to see that. I'm not sure that features of coming attractions. Perhaps we'll see this again. Okay, that's it for today. Call to.